This is a message for Tony, Bellew. I used to be a cruiserweight, so we're both the same height, both similar, same size. I'm knocking out all people talking too much, so get in the list, mate. You're gonna get smashed to bits. Let's do it if you want it.
David Haye has responded to Tony Bellew via an Instagram video. The link to the full video is in the description below. David Haye says that he would welcome a Tony Bellew fight after he gets past Shannon Briggs, and that he would knock Tony Bellew out. Let me know what you think about this potential fight, people. Do you think David Haye's going to get past Shannon Briggs? And if he does, do you think he would actually go through with a Tony Bellew fight? Which weight would this fight be fought at? Would it be a catch weight? Would David Haye come back down to the cruiserweight division? Would he want to get that WBC cruiserweight strap, which he once held? You let me know in the comment section below. You know, I've said for a very long time, because I've been following David Haye his whole career, even when he was an amateur. And I've always known that David Haye is a naturally slim guy. All this stuff that he was saying for all those years that he was a natural heavyweight, killing himself to make cruiserweight, it was all BS. David Haye does a lot of weightlifting to get his weight up. If he cut down the weightlifting and did a similar amount of weightlifting to somebody like a Tony Bellew, he could easily make 200 pounds even now. When he fought Vladimir Klitschko, he only weighed 209 pounds for that fight. Many cruiserweights weigh 209 pounds when they get in the ring for cruiserweight title fights on fight night. They weigh 209, sometimes more than that. So let's not get twisted, let's not get it twisted or confused thinking that David Haye can't get down to cruiserweight. He can, and either way, Tony Bellew said that he would be open to a catchweight fight. Maybe fight at 203, 204, 205, if that makes it more comfortable for the Haymaker. Personally, as I said in one of my post-fight videos following Tony Bellew's win over Ilunga Makabu, I don't think this is a fight that is beyond the realms of possibility of happening, because at the end of the day, Tony Bellew has a lot of hype around him now following that win. He fought at Goodison Park. It generated a lot of excitement, a lot of public interest. He will have been on news programs and all types of stuff like that now in the UK, in the sports stories. David Haye's going to look at that and say, okay, now he's getting some publicity around his name. Now that fight might actually generate some serious money. Maybe I will entertain a Tony Bellew fight. That's all David Haye's about. If he thinks he's going to get some public adoration and adulation from it and make some money, he's going to do it, whether or not people think it's credible or not. Now, what do you think about the fight? Do you think that Tony Bellew could give David Haye a decent tussle? Or do you see this as a mismatch? Most people seem to think that David Haye will bowl Tony Bellew over in a couple of rounds. But I'll leave another link in the description below, and it's to an IFL TV interview which Tony Bellew did after his fight against Makabu. And he says something very interesting. He insults Frank Warren again, by the way, calls him fish eyes. But he says something very interesting. He talks about the sparring sessions that he had with David Haye back in the days. And he looks in the camera and he says, you know what happened in those sparring sessions, David. You remember what happened. What did happen? Is there anybody out there with inside knowledge about what happened in those sparring sessions between Bellew and Haye? I remember Haye talking about the sparring sessions and saying, you know what? I remember that Tony Bellew was a handful in those sparring sessions. That's what David Haye did say. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Bellew dropped him in sparring. Some people are going to try to shoot me for that. Don't be ridiculous, Hatman. There's no way that Haye could get dropped by somebody like Bellew. As I've said in previous videos, all types of stuff happens in sparring that would amaze you. David Haye got dropped by Lelenga Mock. Remember that fight? Lelenga Mock, would normally campaign as a super middleweight. He fought a few times as a light heavyweight, and then he fought David Haye at cruiserweight. He had David Haye on Queer Street. So don't put it past Tony Bellew to be able to drop David Haye in sparring, especially a few years ago. So, yeah, let me know what you think about this potential fight. Will David Haye take it? Do you see this as David Haye sinking low? Personally, I think this is better than a Jurjai. At least he's fighting somebody that's a real fighter that's in their prime. Even if it is a cruiserweight, David Haye's a natural cruiserweight himself anyway. So personally, I don't really mind the fight. I always wanted to see David Haye back down at cruiserweight. How do I think it would go? I think David Haye would beat Tony Bellew, definitely. But, you know, it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Leave your opinions in the comment section. It's your boy